I got my dad listening on every platform at the same
Your
time,
dad,
trying to
yeah, to
boost
get
our
those
ratings.
numbers up.
He for real will. He'll listen to it on Spotify and then he'll go watch it on YouTube too.
I love it. I watched one of our YouTube episodes
True fans.
yesterday,
Mm-hmm.
and
They're
I
really
think
good.
they
Tyler
are.
does really good with them.
He does so good with them, and it's fun watching our interactions. Like I don't remember half the things that we do. I don't realize, because we're just talking and bullshitting. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get it all. So when I got to rewatch it last night, and I was making dinner. Al was working. She works till like 7 at night, so I'm just like home alone. And by like 5 p.m., I'm so bored. So I just start cooking and watching YouTube or whatever. And so I watched it last night. It was good. I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed watching. We got to figure out how to get the videos on Spotify. That would be sick. Kind of like how Rogan does it.
Yeah.
Man, speaking of
Rogan, his is exclusive, but I think other people do that too. I think it's not as maybe Mind Pump. Maybe there's only on YouTube.
Mind Pump does it too.
Anyway, speaking of Rogan,
this episode that he just did with Gary Brecka. It's episode 2060, and Gary Brecka is a biologist, human biologist, and he absolutely blew my mind in this episode. Man, he's talking about medicine versus functional medicine, and by medicine I mean like going to the regular doctor, and all of these
like pharmaceuticals,
all of these diseases, illnesses, blah blah blah, are because we're deficient in minerals, some kind of mineral. And so he's got like a DNA test that you can take, and I think it's not cheap. It's like $500 or $600. But he says you have to take it one time in your life. It tells you your exact genetic makeup, where you're deficient, and then he can essentially give you supplements, vitamins, those nutrients that you're deficient in, and it will fix everything. It's insane. And those, like these certain genes that if they pop up can lead to certain illnesses, cancers, blah, blah, blah. It was just, man, I'm not doing any justice right now. It was incredible. It was an awesome episode. I was listening to it when I was chopping wood yesterday, and it was just, I wish I had a notebook to write everything down that he was saying because it was awesome.
I hate it when I do that when I'm listening to it. I'll put a podcast on to like just be like, oh well, I'll learn while I'm doing something else, and then it ends up being so good that you're stopping what you're doing to go like get a notebook or something.
Yeah.
Like, dang, I should have listened to this one.
I wish I could record this. Yeah, it would be awesome.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's like every podcast I listen to because I'm driving or whatever, and I'm like, damn, there's a zinger. Like, oh, I wish I could write that down. Nope, I can't, and then I forget about it, or I just butcher the shit.
I heard a really good tip the other day, and yeah, I need to start doing this. But it was talking about using voice notes, like when those like random things, like whether you're listening to a podcast or not, like sometimes you just have like a really good idea, and it's not a good time to write it down or whatever. And I feel like I have that happen to me all the time. I'll be thinking about something while I'm doing something else, and so like it's not a good time for me to like actually sit down and take notes or like really think on something, but like just my subconscious mind is running while I'm doing something else. And this thing said take voice notes, because then instead of like you writing it down and you just reading the words on the paper, and you might just write a short little note, you're hearing like the tone of your voice back, and you remember like how excited you were about like this particular idea or whatever. And then so that kind of like brings back the train of thought that you had during that moment. And I was like, dang, I need to start doing that. And I have yet to do one. I don't even know how to use voice notes on my phone, but that's definitely something that I want to start using.
Hell yeah, dude. It's awesome. I much prefer voice text over actually typing it out, like just the voice memos. I think those things are legit. But no, there really is some kind of science to speaking it out rather than writing it or reading it. Anytime I speak something out, I remember it much better than when I write it down or just read it. No, that's definitely something there to that. But yeah, that episode.
I got to do that with names, goals, like all kinds of stuff. Like
names are huge. I'm the worst. I'm the worst at remembering names. So when I meet someone, I have to like regurgitate their name to them again as they say it. Yeah. And then I have to call them by their name the first couple times I talk to them after that, or else it's gone. It's gone. I know that face though. I know that face. I just don't know your name. I apologize. What's man, we're sitting here getting ready for the NFR in about 7 weeks, 6.5 weeks now, which is nuts. But truth be told, that is 1% of the population of rodeo athletes. So what is the other 99% doing right now in our quote unquote off season? What does it look like for you guys right now?
Wrapping
You
up
guys,
circuit finals.
yeah. So we're getting there's a little bit of competition going on, but competition volume has decreased drastically, if at all. I feel like even existent right now for most guys. But this is a really, really important time because the sport of rodeo really doesn't have an off season. We have one continuous season that is separated by one day in between 2023 season and 2024 and carrying on. So it's tough. Every other sport has a dedicated off season, has a dedicated preseason, in season, and back to off season, right? So how in the hell do we, as rodeo athletes, kind of break this up for ourselves and create goals that can be, serve a purpose during each season? Because it's going from one season to the next with no rest is essentially just going to wear you down to the point where you just won't make it if you're not taking care of yourself. But I want to break them down today. I want to break down the seasons, what athletes should be doing now, why they're doing them. What do you got your athletes doing right now?
Yeah, right now, so I just had what wrapped up last week, and we had Southeast Circuit Finals, we had Great Lakes Circuit
Great
Finals.
Lakes,
I think there was another one. Wilderness was the week before that.
Wilderness.
So like a lot of the circuit finals are wrapping up right about now. So now it's like, okay, we take, you know, I leave it up to the athlete, but like, okay, let's take a week off. Let's not do anything, or maybe we just do mobility. Let's kind of just reset here for a week, reflect on the season you had, think about maybe goals for next year towards the end of this week. And then, after that, if you're not planning on any competitions in the immediate future, let's utilize this time as a traditional off season.
Mm-hmm.
And so the in the rodeo in season, there's so many things that your body is experiencing, and that you're basically getting broken down. And if you follow the full year season, if you don't take an off season, you have no time to recuperate from that. And as a competitor, or when I was competing, like that was kind of me. Like I didn't like taking time off, and it wasn't until I did one time I was like, oh, maybe there's something to this. Maybe there's a reason other sports have an off season. In the just the sheer volume of especially like the summertime, and then the fall, and then like the rush to try and make either your rodeo count for your circuit finals or getting into the NFR, and then it kind of all culminates to September 31st or whatever, or what is it, 30 days in September, so September 30th all culminates, and then it's like boom, okay, this is now a time where we can reset, or after your circuit finals, this is now a time where we can reset. And I think that it shouldn't be ignored. I know, especially young guys are going to want to, just go right back to it, go start entering again, get a head start on the 2024 season. But man, like if you give your body a break and you go back to rebuilding, and that's what I have my athletes doing right now. For a lot of them, it's almost going to kind of be like a hypertrophy phase. Like we're not really focusing on hypertrophy at any other time in rodeo. We don't really need big muscles. We don't need to be bodybuilders. So like we don't ever really focus on that. But during the off season, if you're going to have some time off, like it might not be a bad idea to try and build a little bit of muscle, because odds are you probably lost some during the in season part. So like let's try and at least get back to where we were, maybe get a little stronger than we were before, and then you can roll on into the next season feeling good and feeling confident in yourself.
Man, exactly. And the thing about, if you've been rodeoing hard, if you've been out for a full year on the road and doing that, especially the last run, the July, August, September is nuts. Most of those guys that are finishing that up also have been doing that throughout the entire year. That elite group, that top 40, top 50, that's going to every rodeo. Man, throughout that, you're going to lose strength because you're not able to exercise as often and strength train as often. You're not able to eat as frequently. You are developing imbalances from riding injuries, from travel, from sitting, inactivity in the muscles. There's a lot of things that go on throughout the season. So an off season is essential at some point for at least the elite group. And if you're a younger guy and you're getting that quote unquote jump start on 2024, man, it doesn't help you out that much. You're burning through your rodeos already, your count. What's gonna happen when you get to July and you've already been to 80? You're done. You haven't put together a good strategy for making the NFR, because you're gonna get out. You're gonna be out in August, and there's gonna be a full month left to rodeo, and all the big dogs are gonna go eat, and you're not gonna be anywhere close to the NFR. So I would just be smart about that. But
yeah, and odds are the guys that are competing right now, when they could be taking an off season, like they're probably not feeling their best. Unless
no,
they are coming back off of an injury that they sustained, earlier in the year and they had to take off from the summer run. I could see that being a possibility. But like, you're not feeling your best. You're going to a bunch of smaller, quote unquote rodeos during this time, and you're basically, you could be pissing money down the drain by not showing up prepared, and you're not performing the way you could be. And even if you are performing well, you're not making as much money as you could be next July.
exactly, exactly. So we talk about, beyond that, but mentally, most guys are pretty exhausted from rodeo. They're feeling weaker. They've got some imbalances. So the off season needs to be a time that we correct those imbalances, increase that strength, hopefully increase the lean mass or fat free mass of their, body makeup, and get back to that foundation, building a strong base for the rest of the season, because you're gonna need that muscle and strength to continue on. Um, you talked about hypertrophy, which I think this is the perfect time for hypertrophy. The whole point of hypertrophy is to increase fat-free mass, so AKA put on some muscle. And there is no other part of the season that we can do this, because the competition volume is so high, and the intensity of this kind of exercise can get pretty high. I definitely know this is one of the things that I get sore from. I'm going to pair that with some kind of strength building cycle after that. So I'm taking my off season guys. They've got about 8 weeks of hypertrophy. We're going to build some strength after that, and then really get into the functional bodybuilding, aka sport specific training, as we get March, April, May, and then as we continue from there, we're going to start getting into real in-season stuff. A lot less volume. Still going to hopefully try and keep that intensity up Monday and Tuesday, just to keep their bodies primed and ready to roll, and knowing that their body's going to need to be able to work at that capacity. But and then as probably, July and August, we always say they need to keep training, but we always listen to our athletes too. And majority of the time, we're just doing a lot of mobility and a lot of maintenance work with them, keeping them flowing. Can keep the imbalances at a minimum, so we can hit the ground running when it comes full circle again and that year starts over. What about?
Yeah. So
go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead. No, you go.
I was just gonna say, so like some of the well, to kind of preface it even a little bit further, like the rodeo season itself is catabolic. Like, it's not tissue promoting in any way, shape, or form.
Correct.
You're running yourself ragged. You're lacking recovery from sleep. You're lacking recovery from nutrition. You don't have time to go to the gym and build or even maintain muscle a lot of times. And so by nature, it is we're seeing tissue breakdown, and what happens then is we lose a lot of muscle mass. And so the advantage of the off season, or taking an off season, you have to pencil in your own off season, because like we said before, there isn't one. And so you have to decide when the off season is going to be for you. And November, December is a great time for most people. We could even say, like, early spring would be like another one. But like, this is a great time because there's just not that much going on that's worth the while of going to. You can pencil in your own off season. You can start working on a hypertrophy program. You can dial in your nutrition. You can stay at home off the road for a while so you can build better habits. And then you can work on, just because you're not getting on, that's the big pushback, I think, is like, guys don't want to get rusty. They don't want to take time off. Now is a time you can work on your mental attitude too.
Mm-hmm.
You can work on visualization and mindset, and you can we've talked about it before in the study of performing mental reps versus performing actual reps. There's really no difference in how the two groups progress. They both progress the same just by visualizing as the same group, or they progress the same as the group that did the actual thing,
Mm-hmm.
and all they did was visualize. And so you can work on visualization, which is only going to increase your confidence throughout this time, and you're not subjecting yourself to possible injuries during this time, which would be, I mean, that would be catastrophic. Like, it's the beginning of the season. You're not feeling your best. You're trying to go to a bunch of rodeos, and then you get hurt, and then you miss out on the big rodeos because you're hurt. Like, that
Mm-hmm.
would be horrible.
Mm-hmm.
So by taking an off season, you can build muscle, you can work on your mindset, you can work on long-term injury prevention by building, a more durable body, and you can still improve your confidence through visualization every day.
Absolutely, man. And like you said, they're not getting on right now, or for the most part aren't. And it gets really easy to get in that train of thought or a little complacent with the work that you're putting in because there's no quote unquote physical work to be done. Man, I'd say world championships are won in that 2% or 3% of the mental work and the other things you need to be doing, the small things that no one's doing, and visualization is one of them. Being able to practice those reps, setting aside, 2 minutes a day, building on that 3 minutes a day, 4 minutes a day, whatever it is, and being able to put yourself in those positions and actually see it and smell it and taste it and believe that you're there. And once you can start believing and seeing everything that you're doing in your head, man, it's just going to translate exactly to the arena. So the mental prep work that needs to be going in the off season is paramount to how the next season is going to go for that person. I think you talked about nutrition as well. Man, if there was ever a time to really dial in that nutrition and we finally have some kind of hold and control over where we are, it's now in the off season. No, you're actually home, and we're talking about training for hypertrophy, training for increasing our lean mass. Well, you've got to eat that way as well. What are you telling your clients nutritionally to increase that muscle growth and decrease inflammation?
Yeah, so I mean, like we've, if you're an avid listener, you've heard us beat this horse to death and then to death again. But prioritizing protein right now, because protein's so hard to come by when you're on the road.
Yep.
It's one of those things that it trips everybody up. It trips me up, when I'm traveling, and I would say I have a pretty solid nutrition foundation, but I'm still not perfect, and I'm still more apt to fall short when I'm on the road. And so like now's a time to really focus on prioritizing protein, maybe getting into a little bit of a calorie surplus so that you can build muscle. I know that for I would say most of the events, weight's not super important, but for like a lot of the bull riders, like they want to stay lean 365 days a year, and that's just not a way to live. If you're sub 10% body fat for 365 days a year, your body's gonna break down. You're gonna get hurt. Like there's no way around it. Like an athlete should be somewhere between 12 to 15% body fat, and there's no reason to really be much below that. And so you have to eat in a way that is going to promote lean tissue. And the first thing that comes to mind is always prioritizing protein, and then carbohydrates as well.
Yeah, man. I think you gotta. That's right on the money. Prioritizing protein and carbs, but protein just seems to be the hardest to get in each time. And it doesn't matter if you're on the
For
road
sure.
or at home; it's definitely the toughest. So, I always add in a supplement after I work out. It always helps getting an extra 40 grams in there for me. Um, that's something that anyone can do, especially when you're on the road too, man. Protein is great. Jerky is great.
Mm-hmm.
Just went hunting, shot a mule deer and an elk. Man, we've been making our own jerky. It's the bomb, and I can take it everywhere with us. It's it's great protein, great source of food, and I've been loving it. It's been an awesome little cheat code for me, and I've been carrying like little. They
Mm-hmm.
like make olives like green olives and stuff you can go get that are already pitted and stuff like that in small containers. So I've been taking the jerky, the olives, and a little bit of cheese. So I've been having like little charcuterie boards in the truck when I've been driving around and I want a snack instead of just going and getting some trail mix or whatever from the store. So I've been digging that. Um, let's talk about like practical off-season training tips. So we talk about hypertrophy.
Mm-hmm.
What the hell is that?
Yeah. Hypertrophy, in a nutshell, is muscle growth. So hyper meaning more, and you know, I think trophy. I don't know. It's looks like trophy. Somewhat relates to like the growth of muscle. So, basically what we're trying to do is build more lean tissue, and so a way we would do that is higher training frequency. Something that we can't necessarily do in during the rodeo season. And so this is your time, especially for you go-getters out there that like to work out 6-7 days a week. Like, this is a time where you can actually make that happen and you can benefit from the results of it. On the flip side, you still have to recover from those training sessions. So you can't just like, totally murder yourself in the gym 7 days a week and not recover. That won't work very well. But like now is a time where you can set up a plan where you're working 4, 5, 6 days a week in the gym, and you can experience these higher volumes. You can make gains in the gym. You can see your lifts go up. You can build a little muscle. And I think that this is the time where this is the like I've said earlier, but like this is the foundation for the rest of the year. Like we can set ourselves up on a healthy habit of working out regularly, um, working out for the things that are specific to our sport, and then we can carry that with us when it does get busy and it does get harder to get in there, uh, because we've already established a habit. We took a time of the year to establish these good habits, and then we can carry them with us. Um, I think some other things that you could do as far as like training during the off season is like practicing technique and form too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, a lot of times like this is we have more time, so you can add in more volume, so you can get more repetitions of each exercise. You can improve each exercise that you're performing. So like maybe, your deadlift isn't very good, or maybe you would like to bench more. Like this is a time that you can focus on getting better at those things and improving form and improving strength.
Absolutely, man. And back to the hypertrophy, just 6 to 12 reps, 3 to 6 sets is where you want to be. I don't know if you said that already.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then
I
thinking
didn't.
about weight loads, when you're doing hypertrophy, it's somewhere between 67 and 85% of your 1 rep max for those movements. So you're not sitting there trying to lift 100% of your, of your whatever your capacity for a back squat. If you're trying to hit hypertrophy, if your back squat is, let's say, a 300-pound back squat, you're probably going to be around that like 175, 185 mark to start for that higher
Mm-hmm.
end rep range. So just think about the percentages as well when you're implementing these things. And same thing when you get to your strength work, or you want to increase your power. Strength work is anything less than 6 reps of movement with 2 to 6 sets of volume there. So
Mm-hmm.
when you start thinking about percentages there, obviously a lot less on the reps. We could be potentially doing a lot less sets, but again, you can get up to 6 sets as you're progressing. But it's going to be anywhere 85% and above of your 1 rep max for that movement.
Yeah.
Again, these are
We're
strength
lifting heavy.
movements.
Yeah.
Yeah, like back squat, deadlift, bench press, cleans, whatever. Power would probably be more of a clean, but again, if you're getting into power, it's 1 or 2 reps of that power movement. And again, in a power movement, we're trying to get the max contraction possible out of that muscle. So they're very, very intense reps. So that's why you're only doing 1 or 2, and you can do anywhere from 3 to 5 sets of that. If we're trying to get a multiple power effort, so like, a 3 rep max hang clean or something like that, you're going to be in that 3 to 5 reps and 3 to 5 sets for that. And for your power movements, anywhere like 75, 85% for multiple rep power movements. And if we're in that single power effort, it's about 80 to 90% of your 1 rep. Sorry, no, that's a lot of numbers. If you lost all that, just shoot me a message
Yeah.
and I'll fill it all in.
Yeah. Yeah. Hypertrophy is more about more reps.
More reps.
Strength is about less reps but heavy, and then power is about, you'd probably use a similar weight that you would use for hypertrophy, but you're now doing it fast. So like that's the way I try to think about it, is like strength is slow because you're trying to get strong, so you're using really heavy weights, it's going to move slow. Hypertrophy is a lot of reps, and power is fast reps.
Yeah, really tearing those muscles when we're doing the hypertrophy, and then we want to really focus on that recovery as well, so we can. Um, no, rehab is not the right word, but help those muscles recover. Something else I was going to say: rest times are very important to those types of whatever response we want. So as we get into those higher intensities, the higher percentages, less reps, man, your rest time should be 3 to 5 minutes between sets. If you're in that, you're putting a lot of effort in, you're at that 98, 95%, whatever it is, like rest. When you get starting closer to hypertrophy, I believe 90 seconds is the rest time between sets of hypertrophy. So just be adherent to that. The reason that you follow those rest times is because of the response that you're getting internally when you do that. You're allowing yourself enough time to recover. You're allowing your muscles enough time to send this, or get the signals from your brain that like, hey, we're ready to go. So rest times are just equally as important. So in the off season, y'all focus on your weaknesses, whether it's you need to increase your lean mass, you need to increase your strength, fix imbalances, line it all out, write it all down, and set your daily goals to be working towards that. And that includes your mental preparedness too, your visualization, your goal setting, all of those things. And then your nutrition. Make sure that you're fueling yourself enough. If you don't know where to start, there's tons of macro calculators you can check online. I know we used Precision Nutrition and Mind Pump's macro calculator, which have been pretty spot on. If you're needing more guidance than that, shoot us a message. We'll give you a referral for a nutritionist. We can get you all set up for that. Guys, if you're lost on your workouts, don't know where to start, don't know if you have imbalances, man, hit us up. Get a free consult, championlivingfitness.com. You click the Become an Athlete button, and it gets you a free consult. You get to talk to a coach for free, get all your questions answered. We make sure we're pairing you up with the best coach that's going to line up with your goals, your lifestyle, and you as a person, so you have the best experience you can with us. You got anything else to close this up, buddy?
Yeah. Last thing that I want to say on this topic is if you're going to take an off season, like now is the time to work on consistency. There's so many variables that are going to happen during the rodeo season, during your just everyday life, whether you're rodeoing or not. But now is the time to hammer on the consistency and really, really, really set a foundation and healthy habits to carry you through the regular season. So consistency with nutrition, consistency with your workouts. Yeah, no kidding, man. It's too early for this. But the more consistent you can be now, the more it kind of hardwires you to lean towards these healthier habits or these more productive habits. And then it's a lot harder to get away from them or fall off the wagon, so to speak, when things do get hard.
Dude, I love that you mentioned that. That routine, that feeling that you get from doing all these things correctly and repetitively is a really good feeling. Your body feels good, your mind feels good. When you stop doing those things, you don't feel as good. Things start to regress on the body, on the mind. And what I think people don't ever realize is just go back to what made you feel good. What are you missing? What's making you feel bad that you aren't doing now that you were doing before when you weren't feeling like this? And it's usually that really simple stuff. Create that routine early. Remember that that good feeling is coming from that. So anytime on the road throughout the year that you're feeling like you're not going the way you want, look at your life. Look, what are we doing day to day? Are we doing those things that we were doing when we were feeling so good? Probably not. So just be really, really aware of that, and really intentional about where you're putting your energy each day and creating that good foundation and that good schedule for yourself. But like I said, message us if you guys have any questions. You can find me on Instagram at champion.living. You can find Paul at Coach Paul Lloyd. Guys, we got to thank our sponsors. Beastmaster Rodeo, been with us since day one. They are changing the game in rodeo equipment, not just for rough stock riders, timed events, pickup men, stock contractors, all of the above. Guys, check them out, beastmasterrodeo.com. Use our discount code ChampionLiving, all one word, uppercase, going to save you 10% on all their gear. And Hui Brands, guys, God, they just did so good on this shirt. They made these awesome Optimal Performance Academy shirts. We're always rocking their hats. Like I said, hoodies, their fall line is dope. We're going to be podcasting with them and BFO in Vegas coming up here in less than 6 weeks here. Check them out at getyourhui.com. Use our discount code ChampionLiving, all one word, not case sensitive. Going to save you 10% on all Hui gear. Guys, until next time, we'll catch you later.